morning. This is Northern Light for Monday, September 11th. I'm Todd Moe. Monica will be back next week. Recent solar battery fires across New York, including one in the North Country, are raising concerns about the risk battery storage facility brings. We'll talk about it with an expert on how batteries work and what communities should know.
They're generally safe until something happens, such as overheating, being damaged. It's not common, right? But it's definitely a risk. But I think it's a manageable risk.
About 250,000 troops and veterans have signed on as plaintiffs in litigation claiming the combat arms earplugs manufactured by a 3M subsidiary damaged their hearing. 3M has agreed to pay billions.
Justice doesn't always look perfect, but you can't let perfect get in the way of really good. This was a really good result to get some compensation and get some people taken care of quickly.
We've got a report coming up from our American Homefront Project. Also, there are lots of murals and other outdoor art around the region. We've got some pinned on a virtual map on our website, and we'll talk about some of the mural hotspots. All that's coming up on Northern Light. Stay tuned. Broadcast of Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio is supported by the Village Mercantile, bringing Saranac Lake to places beyond the Adirondacks, offering Adirondack-made and inspired goods. VillageMerc.com, anything but general. And by Apothecary Chocolates, making gourmet chocolates by hand from all natural herbs, botanicals, and tree syrups. ApothecaryChocolates.com. This is Northern Light. I'm Todd Moe. A solar battery fire in Jefferson County this summer raised concerns about existing and potential solar projects across the North Country. There have been 2 other such fires around New York State. Not all solar installations have batteries. Many in the North Country are just solar panels that feed straight into the grid. But batteries can increase solar's usefulness on the power grid by saving energy to release when the sun isn't shining. We wanted to learn more about how solar batteries work and what communities need to know about the risks of those solar batteries. Catherine Wheeler reached out to an expert.
Battery storage helps address the challenges of solar generation. Cornell University mechanical engineering professor Max Zhang says while solar is a renewable energy, what's generated can vary over the course of a day, a season, and even year to year. He says that's called variance. On top of that, there's intermittence, the unpredictable stuff like cloud cover.
For power system operators, their role is to balance supply and the demand, right? And if your supply, which is mean solar generation, is variable and the intermittence, it becomes very difficult to dispatch those generation, right? And with the battery storage, you can basically make more variable generation into more predictable generation by serving as a buffer.
Zhang says there are generally 2 types of places for these solar batteries to live. One is at a solar farm where the energy is produced. The other isn't found in New York State often. It's dedicated energy storage farms. He says there are 3 in the state, including one in Franklin County that recently started operating. It's New York State's first ever state-owned utility-scale energy storage facility. Over the past couple of months, there have been a couple of incidents with battery storage across the state. How common are these accidents?
First I would say this is a manageable risk, right, in general, right? So the majority of the battery storage we see are lithium-ion batteries, right? They are generally safe. They are generally safe until something happens, such as overheating, being damaged, or short-circuiting, or, just manufacturing defects, right? So those do not happen very often, right? But in rare occasions, it can cause fire and other damages. It's not common, right? But it's definitely a risk. But I think it's a manageable risk.
What are the health and safety concerns when there is an incident like a fire at a lithium-ion battery storage facility?
I think it's very important for a community to decide, hosting a solar farm with battery or with dedicated battery facilities It's very important to bring the emergency response, the fire department on board, because especially lithium-ion battery, once the accident happens, they don't behave like, the typical fire we've seen. It can happen very quickly, right? And it's really hard to stop. It just doesn't look like a normal fire. So that's why it's important to have the emergency responder on board and provide them with sufficient training to prepare for the potential risk.
Zhang says when he's weighing the pros and cons of battery storage, he thinks about the widespread use of batteries and that different states have much larger battery operations.
In other part of the country, there are actually much large scale of implementation of those batteries. For example, in California, currently they already have 5 gigawatt of dedicated battery storage in the state, right? So Texas, how about 3 gigawatt? Right now, New York, as I mentioned here, I think they about have totally, roughly 60 megawatt, right? So much smaller than what California and Texas has. So I would say this is my personal view, right? So as more we use it, the more we learn.
Zhang says researchers are working on ways to make lithium-ion batteries safer or find alternatives like zinc-based batteries. He says lithium-ion batteries are energy-dense, which means they can store more energy at a smaller size. That's what makes them great for so many different applications, like cars and computers, which means more people want to make and sell them, and they get cheaper to produce. So you think, especially when balancing like the state and the country's climate goals, you think that this is a good way to help achieve those goals?
In short answer, yes, right? So the longer answer is that this year we already see a variety of impact from the climate change, right? So, and accelerating renewable generation to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions is really the option. I don't think we have really other option to take at this point. We had to take action fast, right? So there are research and development efforts to develop to either make lithium-ion batteries safer, right? And also there are other alternatives which are inherently safer than lithium-ion batteries, right? So I think the question is how, as a society, we can incentivize the productions, right, of those safer choices, right? So I think that's back to the economic question.
Max Zhang is a Cornell University mechanical engineering professor. He spoke with Catherine Wheeler about solar batteries. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand says there are loopholes in the SNAP employment and training program that need to be closed so job seekers aren't prevented from getting SNAP benefits. The New York Democrat says that loophole can result in someone losing their benefits because they're earning wages as part of their job training.
It's truly a catch-22 that forces workers to make an impossible choice, whether to get the skills and training they need to build a sustainable career or to get enough to eat.
Gillibrand says her Training and Nutrition Stability Act would fix the problem.
The Training and Nutrition Stability Act would correct this outrageous error in our SNAP employment training programs by requiring wages earned through these programs be excluded from SNAP income calculations.
Gillibrand says her bill is a common-sense fix as job seekers secure good-paying jobs so they'll no longer have to rely on SNAP benefits. Hospitals and medical offices run by St. Lawrence Health are once again requiring face masks. That includes Canton Potsdam Hospital and the hospitals in Gouverneur and Messina. The rule change took effect last week amidst an uptick in the number of COVID-19 cases in St. Lawrence County. County data from the State Health Department shows that the average number of positive COVID tests last week was about double what it was a month ago, and that data does not include self-administered home tests. The St. Lawrence County Public Health Department has warned people to avoid Black Lake because of a harmful algal bloom. The bloom is considered lake-wide, so swimming, canoeing, and other recreational activities are not advised anywhere on the lake. Touching, ingesting, or even breathing in toxins from harmful blue-green algae can cause health problems for people and animals, according to the DEC. Symptoms may include vomiting, diarrhea, and difficulty breathing. You're listening to Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. Check out more news anytime on the front page of our website at ncpr.org. This is Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. It's 11 minutes past 8. Good morning. I'm Todd Moe. Monica has the day off. Coming up in just a moment, 3M agrees to pay billions over faulty earplugs. We've got a report from our American Homefront project. Also, we'll check in with Amy Feiereisel about our mural online map project. Where are some of the best outdoor murals around our region? We'll find out coming up in just a few minutes. And also, we'll hear some new music from Dan Berggren. Northern Light is supported by St. Lawrence Health, committed to keeping the community healthy and safe by providing vaccines for patients to strengthen their defenses. StLawrenceHealthSystem.org. And Adirondack Experience, the museum on Blue Mountain Lake, presenting a full season of events and activities, now open 7 days a week. Tickets at the adkx.org. Music by Bloomingdale guitarist Eric Pasternak. Check out more of his music online, ncpr.org/_. 3M has agreed to pay billions to veterans and service members who say their hearing was damaged from faulty earplugs. The plugs were made for the military by a 3M subsidiary. Now, the 250,000 plaintiffs have to decide if they want to participate in the settlement. It's worth some $6 billion. Jay Price reports for the American Homefront project.
Kevin Rhodes, 3M's chief legal affairs officer, explained the deal to investors during a conference call.
Today is an important step forward for 3M. We have entered into a settlement agreement.
It is an important step to keep those investors happy by ending uncertainty over the cost to settle one of the largest mass torts in history, and an important step for the 250,000 people who've filed claims, like retired Army Special Forces soldier James Parsons of Sanford, North Carolina.
There's no such thing as a quiet room.
He suffers from tinnitus, a ringing in the ears he says is a constant, almost maddening presence.
The only way I can ever describe it to anybody is actually take a TV and turn the volume up to it matches my tinnitus, and people are like, oh my God, that's what you hear.
At that point, he says, the TV's volume is nearly all the way up. Parsons has spent almost 3 years fighting in Afghanistan, spread over several deployments. Often, he said, while wearing combat arms, earplugs. Issued to troops from 2003 to 2015, they were designed to let conversation, commands, and other normal sounds through, but blunt the force of loud noises like gunfire and explosions. Except the plaintiffs say the plugs could let damaging sounds through by not sealing properly. At age 52, Parsons has moderate to severe hearing loss.
It really makes being social really, really awkward. You're trying to read their lips as much as you are trying to hear what they're saying. It's frustrating. And there's times when you're actually going to misinterpret what someone's saying, and they're either getting upset or angry or vice versa.
The current lawsuits began after 3M paid $9.1 million in 2018 to settle an earlier whistleblower suit. 3M didn't admit liability in that settlement, and in describing the new agreement, 3M's Rhodes again said the earplugs worked fine.
When used properly, the products were safe and effective for their intended purpose.
The deal still faces hurdles. A big one is 98% of the claimants need to agree to participate or 3M can back out. But plaintiff's attorney Christopher Seeger, who helped negotiate the deal, says he's confident enough will be satisfied with the settlement amounts and want to avoid a lengthy court fight on their own that they could lose.
Justice doesn't always look perfect, but you can't let perfect get in the way of really good. This was a really good result to get some compensation and get some people taken care of quickly.
He says the plan is to organize settlements into 3 broad categories, including an accelerated process for those who have modest issues and are willing to accept smaller payments. Those settlements could top out around $25,000. Those who have suffered serious harm could get substantially more. Plaintiffs like Parsons, though, say the money really isn't the point.
For me, it's about accountability.
He says as an Army senior non-commissioned officer, his job had been looking out for his troops, so he felt obligated to send a message that suppliers shouldn't sell the military defective safety equipment. Another plaintiff, South Florida Navy veteran Sandra Burbano, says she's also looking for accountability.
I wanted it, and like whoever was responsible to actually do some jail time, but in reality, I knew it would have happened. That way I can say, well, with this money, I can have a surgery.
Burbano works in IT, dealing with clients on the phone. She got hearing aids from the VA, but her hearing loss is still a constant problem. And there's no operation, no amount of money, she says, that can fix that. I'm Jay Price, reporting.
This story was produced by the American Homefront Project, a public media collaboration that reports on American military life and veterans. Some Vermont residents whose homes were damaged or destroyed during severe flooding in July still face housing shortages. Meanwhile, officials say contractors are working around the clock to repair electrical work and install furnaces in some damaged homes as colder weather approaches. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has so far determined more than 2,900 homes in Vermont had some damage, including 530 designated as having major damage and 14 that were destroyed. About 1,300 households have received rental assistance from FEMA. Vermont Governor Phil Scott says the flooding has exacerbated Vermont's existing housing crisis. FEMA is providing manufactured homes and searching for apartment buildings that can lease and repair to temporarily house eligible flood victims. You're listening to Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. I'm Todd Moe. Monica Sandreski is back next week. Coming up in just a moment, our online mural map project. And stay with us for more of Morning Edition coming up at 8:30. Northern Light is supported by Downtown Artist Cellar in Malone, presenting Open Windows, a narrative of Sojourner Truth, performed by Charmaine Crowell-White on Tuesday, September 12th at 7 p.m. Details at downtownartistcellar.com. Partly to mostly cloudy skies. There's some scattered light rain in the Adirondacks and also places like Glens Falls and Lake George. Elsewhere, partly cloudy, highs low to mid-70s today, light winds out of the northeast. Then about a 30-40% chance of scattered showers the next couple of days, getting a little cooler as well. Highs 70s today and tomorrow, and then upper 60s, low 70s on Wednesday and Thursday. We launched a new mapping project a few weeks ago. It's called the NCPR Mural Map, and we're looking to put outdoor public artwork like murals, mosaics, and sculptures onto a map of the North Country and to celebrate the people and communities who made them. This morning, our community engagement reporter, Amy Fey-Reisel, is phoning in to talk through some of those results. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, Todd. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we asked folks to share their local murals with us. And the whole newsroom has been reading through the results. So let's talk a little bit about some of the most often mentioned artworks.
Yes, there were definitely particular projects and places that came up again and again. A big one was Plattsburgh and the city's, renaissance of murals over the last decade. We've actually reported on a lot of those individual murals as they've gone up over the years. And this summer, the 18th Plattsburgh mural went up, and we got a lot of photos of that.
Yeah, most of Plattsburgh's murals have been sort of designed and coordinated by a not-for-profit called Outside Art, Plattsburgh Public Art Project. And we'll have a bigger story about the Plattsburgh murals coming later this year. Another frequent submission was the huge mosaic in North Creek. It's gigantic. It's a 180-foot-long mosaic on a large concrete wall on Main Street that took 10 years to complete. People submitted such beautiful photos of that mosaic, and it's special to many because they helped make it. Artist Kate Hartley made the mosaic alongside over 700 volunteers, and there's a lot of pride around it.
So much pride. Doug in Old Forge texted us, he said, you should definitely put this one on there. He said, hands down, can't be beat. 10 years in the making. The North Creek mosaic is absolutely amazing. We also had a submission about artwork across the border about the pop silos in Cornwall. And those are 5 silos that have murals painted on them, of birds, of farmers, of flowers, of the rolling Ontario countryside. Al from Brushton said they are the best around and more than worth a Saturday afternoon drive. And, through this project, I was thinking it must be really fun for you, Todd, to look through these submissions because you have done so many stories on public artwork across the North Country over the years.
Definitely. Lots of these murals I've seen and admired before, like the Flying Canada Geese mural in Malone and the Storywalk mural at the library in Colton. But there were lots of surprises, too, like little murals painted on the sides of stores in Clayton and Warrensburg, rock sculptures and painted rocks in remote locations. And I know you have a few favorite submissions.
Yes, I do. I am in love with Pig Rock. So Pig Rock is on Route 30. It's just north of Speculator in the southern Adirondacks. And it's this big rock that was placed there while the road was being built. And it sort of already had the shape of a pig. And sometime long ago, someone painted it so it actually has a face and a snout.
Yeah, and here's the deal, Amy. You wouldn't know about it if not for the mural map.
Exactly. No, I learned about it through this project, and I adore it. And now I want to go see it in person. So I know that you've seen a lot, but do you have any particular certain soft spots for pieces of art?
Well, I was actually down in Indian Lake just last week talking to folks about monarch butterflies. And one of the students at Indian Lake Central School showed me this garden mural that they painted on the backside of the school, back by their school garden. And the art teacher painted stems, and then the students took their handprints in different colors to make the flower petals on the mural. So I really have a soft spot for that piece. And then there's a really cool piece. It's on an old house, the side of an old house between Lake Placid and Saranac Lake. And it was just, the house had this sort of blank wall, and someone painted like a trompe-l'oeil, fool the eye sort of mural that they painted in windows that match the windows of the house, and then a side porch that has pillars.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really, because you drive by and think, oh, there's an old house with a side porch, and then you're like, wait a minute, that's a painting that's painted on this not actually there. It's that sort of fool the eye trompe-l'oeil. So that one's really cool.
And the trouble is, really, there is absolutely no way to get through all of the cool artwork that people suggested, at least not in this show.
But you can see all the submissions on our mural map. Go to ncpr.org and you'll see it on our homepage. And we're also still taking submissions to add to the map. If you hear our voices right now and are thinking, I know of a spot you should know about, let us know. Some people submitted 1, some people submitted 5 or 10. You can text the word mural, M-U-R-A-L, mural, to 315-978-6277.
Yes, and I have to just do 2 quick shout outs. Big thanks to Sue Abbott-Jones for submitting like all the public art she could find in Saranac Lake. She must have sent in like 7 or 8. And to mural hunter Lynn Johnson, who sent in public art that she's sort of photographed and found herself from Ausable Forks all the way down to Lake George.
I love that, Lynn. A mural hunter. Thank you. That's so cool. So go take a look at the map and help us fill in the bald spots, the desert, I guess, if you will, on that map where there isn't anything. There's got to be some public art in those spaces. Go to text the word mural to 315-978-6277. And the next time you're driving through the region or going somewhere new, check it out and put a mural on your route. Thanks so much, Amy.
Thank you, Todd.
5'3", about 100 pounds. Nessmuk inhaled every sight and sound. He knew the woods like the back of his hand. Wilderness was his holy land. From the Bay State he did roam, till Pennsylvania became his home. But the only place he felt at ease was a bed of boughs beneath the trees. Breaking trail, traveling light, under the stars for another night. Breaking trail to guide the way. Breaking trail to a brand new day. Another day, another camp. Put more miles on the Sari-Gamp. 9 foot long and 2 foot wide. It may be small, but what a ride. Feeling free, paddling along, filling the spirit with a song. Rivers and trails were his friends, adventure waiting around the bend. Breaking trail, traveling light, under the stars for another night. Breaking trail to guide the way. Breaking trail to a brand new day. There are new generations to guide us now and help us to arrive, to see that we enjoy the journey. A Nessmuk connection is still alive. Pine tar, castor oil, and pennyroyal, heat it on the fire but don't let it boil. Apply to the skin both night and day, keeps mosquitoes, black flies, and most folks away. A cobbler, cowboy, sailor, and guide, double-bladed hatchet by his side, hooking readers of forest and stream while his poems went fishing for dreams. Breaking trail, traveling light, under the stars for another night. Breaking trail to guide the way. Breaking trail to a brand new day. Breaking trail, traveling light, under the stars for another night. Breaking trail to guide the way. Breaking trail to a brand new day.
Breaking Trail, that's new music from Dan Berggren, and it's on Bandcamp as well. And Dan wrote and told me that it's a tribute to George Washington Sears, who used the pen name Nessmuk. J. Henry Russian, who built Nessmuk, that 10.5 pound boat called the Sari Gamp. And the canoe also inspired Pete Hornbeck's Lost Pond boats. So Dan wrote that he's singing this song in remembrance of Pete and Nessmuk, and highly recommends Christine Jerome's book, An Adirondack Passage, The Cruise of the Canoe Sari Gamp. Some new music from Dan Berggren. That's it for Northern Light for this Monday, September 11th. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Be well.